alien spacecraft did not crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947.
You know flat earthers, I guarantee it. But you don't know who they are because they're afraid of talking about it.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system.
Hello and welcome to the 32nd annual Subliminal Deception Podcast, your weekly dose of conspiracy theory bullshit. My name is Cody. I'm joined by my pal Phil. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm actually doing much better now that I am no longer sick. Only took 2 weeks to get over it, but it's getting cold out and my nose is pretty much running on a daily basis, which is fairly normal. How is the weather treating you down in Arizona?
It's good. The mornings are starting to get cold. Starting to have to wear like a sweatshirt outside in the mornings. So
Okay.
It's getting down there.
Yeah.
It was, I think it got up to about 90 today, but that was about it.
You know, it's funny, before we were recording, I was watching Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have.
So I hadn't seen that one, and I'm like, okay, this is like viewed as basically one of the greatest movies ever made. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, the opening scene's like Phoenix, Arizona, right? And it's like December 11th. I'm like, where's all the snow at? And I was just laughing. I'm like, yeah, they don't get snow there. But so far, it's a pretty good movie. I should ask, I think we're kind of in the realm of safe zone. There won't be any spoilers here, but did you watch The Joker? Did you get a chance to watch it yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it.
So I actually, last week, went and saw The Joker, and then because I love Zombieland so much, I had to go see that movie. I would recommend seeing both of them. Very, very good movies. Joker's very good. Very, very good. I think I got in a few arguments with people about if Heath Ledger was still better or if, what the hell's his name? Joaquin Phoenix is better. And I don't know. I still think Heath Ledger did a better job, but I think Joaquin did an amazing job as well. His fucking laugh, though, is so great in the new movie. It's so good. His laugh is just so good.
You didn't get in a fight with any of the incels at the movie theater about that, did you?
Didn't see any, thankfully. There was an incel-free movie theater.
That's good. It doesn't sound like you've been shot recently, so I'm guessing you didn't see any of them.
It is funny because, like, I was talking with my friend Nick about it because he had seen it. He's like, basically, that's the first thing. He's like, oh, I'm glad no one shot up the theater. You know, it's kind of a sad world we live in where there can't even be a Joker movie without everybody remembering that fucking orange-haired psychopath who shot up that other theater. I can't even remember his fucking name.
Yeah, I just remember the creepy look on his face in court. That's all I remember.
Yeah, he's a creepy fucker. But are you a big fan of Zombieland, the first one?
Yeah, I was. I've seen it quite a few times. I was kind of surprised to hear it's been out it's 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty I'm gonna go see that one too, obviously, sometime. I need to catch up on movies. I usually wait up for Redbox.
Yeah, I mean, significantly cheaper, I can tell you that much. But like Zombieland, I love the first one so much. Like, it was so fucking good. I've watched it, I can't even count how many times, but the second one was really funny, but I don't know if it was quite as good as the first one, but it was still really good. And obviously, Woody Harrelson is like fucking if I could meet any actor, he's like who I want to fucking meet. He's so cool.
Yeah, I usually have a problem going and seeing or even watching some of those, the second edition of those cult classic, really good movies. Cause it always seems like they're trying to catch lightning twice, but they're also trying to make the most money for as cheap as they can. So did you ever watch the, Joe Dirt sequel?
You remember you were visiting here when we tried to rent it, and
Oh yeah.
we just fucking. I'm like, I can't do it, dude. I cannot do it. It's so bad. Just turned it off.
Yeah, after I think it was like 25, 30 minutes, it was just ferocious. You could tell that they were just going to grab money.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I love the first one. A lot of people, like, I'm surprised the amount of people who actually hate the first one. Or they think it's a bad movie.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was funny. It was good. It was, I don't know. It wasn't a fucking blockbuster hit, but like, I thought it was a funny movie.
Yeah, it might have been just David Spade in his prime, though. Like, might have been just the right movie at the right time.
Is his prime Joe Dirt? Like, are you gonna count Tommy Boy and Black Sheep as his other two like holy grails?
He wasn't the main guy in those movies, though.
Yeah, I know, but it's like those are the movies that everyone I feel like remembers him for. Like, they're not gonna remember that weird movie on Netflix where he's like a redneck. What the hell is that movie called?
I don't remember.
See, exactly. Like, it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but it was like nothing special about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that David Spade, most of his movies, he was kind of a sidekick.
Yeah.
But he was always pretty funny.
Was it him who people say his stand-up's actually like kind of funny? Thought I've heard that before because I think he had a special on Netflix, but I cannot remember. I
saw a stand-up of his from like 20 years ago on YouTube, and it was pretty good.
Really?
It was during his younger years. I don't know. He's kind of got an annoying voice, though. So listening to him for a full like hour and a half is kind of hard.
Do you remember that Bible camp horror movie that we watched last time you were here?
Yeah, I do. With fucking Ron Jeremy in it.
Yeah. So I was listening. I like to listen to horror movie podcasts, and I was listening to this one. They were talking about, God, what was this? Like Peter Cotton from Hell or something. It was an Easter horror movie, and it was directed by a director who specializes in softcore porn, but it's like a horror comedy thing. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I bet that Bible camp movie was made by a guy who directs softcore porn. It just hit me at that point.
Yeah, I would imagine it, or at least somebody who knows a lot of like the actors and actresses who play in softcore porn, because I'm pretty sure they were all like B porn fucking actors. I didn't recognize a single person besides Ron Jeremy.
It was pretty fun. Like, it was a kind of funny movie, but you could just tell it was just they're not the greatest actors. I can tell you that much, but it was pretty funny anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been on a kind of an older movie kick. I watched The Ladies' Man recently. So it was as good as I remember it was. Like, pretty funny. The fish sandwich part. And do you remember the main guy who's trying to kill him? And he Will Ferrell.
No, it's the guy. Who's the guy who tries to hang himself in the beginning?
Oh, the weird dude.
Yeah.
The guy who's got like a fucking broken neck and broken leg and shit.
Yeah. He I feel like he was in that movie, and he was in There's Something About Mary, and then he was like in Ratatouille or something, and like those are the only movies he's ever been in, and then he just disappeared off the face of the fucking earth.
Yeah, he's always like a weird secondary actor person.
He's just kind of got like, I don't know, he's kind of weird. He's just very weird, but I can see why maybe his career hadn't taken off that much, but whatever. I guess that's actors. You kind of live and die. Kind of like football players. You just you're in there for a little bit and then you're gone.
Yeah. You're either going to be a 6-year guy on the bench or a 3-year guy who blows out his fucking knee.
Good point. Well, anyway, Phil, it's about that time. Why don't we dive into this week's conspiracy? I obviously have no idea what it's about, so you go ahead and take the reins over.
All right. Well, the day that this comes out, it's going to be, I believe, the day after Halloween. Now, Cody, tell me, are you guys going to go trick-or-treating this year?
I might be a little bit too old for that, but...
Just a little? Now, do you remember the joys of going trick-or-treating when you were a kid and, bringing your haul into the house?
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I remember... what's funny is I can't really remember trick-or-treating that much, but I remember indulging in the candy.
Now, did your parents ever pick through the candy just to make sure that there weren't anything that there wasn't supposed to be in there? Like, Reese's Pieces cups or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. This is a big fear thing back then. Like, I guess even now, someone's going to poison it or would do whatever to it. They'd always have to scan through. But I always was like, well, most of the time candy's okay, but you don't want to get like a fucking piece of fruit or like a open thing or, you know what I mean? Something loose from the package or something like that.
Yeah. Anything terrible like a yellow Starburst either. You don't want nothing like that.
You don't like them?
I fucking hate yellow Starburst.
Really? Okay.
The orange one's where it's at. So this episode, I decided that since this was going to be premiering the day after Halloween, I would do it on poisoned or tampered with Halloween candy.
Okay. Hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to start off with poison. So there was a New York housewife named Helen Feel, and she had handed out ant poison and dog biscuits to trick-or-treaters in 1964 and was later arrested for her actions.
I kind of feel like the kids would have recognized that it was dog biscuits. Like they're pretty distinct usually.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. She claimed that this was just a joke and that she was only giving out the non-candy items to kids that she had thought were too old to be trick-or-treating.
Okay, so she took a little justice into her own hands, basically. I was trying to think of something that might have the same texture as a dog biscuit. Do you remember like the Dollar General's cookies? Like
yes,
those?
I do.
I was like, those are about as disgusting as a fucking dog biscuit is. Especially like the knockoff Oreos. Ugh.
Yeah, or the ones that were supposed to be like the two graham crackers pushed together with the frosting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember those.
The off-brand of those did kind of taste like dog treats. That's something that somebody kept in their pantry for like a few years.
Yeah, my grandma.
I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You remember how much of a hoarder she was? She had like cookies that are like 10 years expired still sitting in there.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that. So none of the children that she actually handed the non-food items out to were poisoned. Obviously, if she was only handing them out to the older kids, they recognized right away that they were not good to eat. So that's actually good from the story.
So, okay, so we're talking about the ant poison. Was she just like handing out like fun-sized cans of Raid or something, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure in 1964, like what kind of cartridge or whatever ant poison came in. Maybe she just like wrapped it up in a used condom or something. I don't know.
This is a very, very new Mars candy bar, kids. Enjoy the ant poison and dog biscuits. I will say this, like, because we get ants kind of bad in the yard here or whatever. I think ant poison is like little pellets. Like almost like
that's
salt.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, so maybe she sprinkled it on the dog biscuits, but I'm pretty certain it's not safe for human consumption, but I'm just going out on a limb here.
I was kind of thinking that would be bad if she actually took a dog biscuit, like smeared some frosting on it, and then sprinkled like ant poison on top of it. Because anything with frosting, you're going to eat that.
Oh, right? Absolutely. It'll hide the flavor. Hide the flavor of everything.
Hide the horrible... I have no idea what dog biscuits taste like, but I'm guessing that the ant poison sprinkles are pretty
toxic.
Pretty toxic.
I feel like if she would have used anything but something with the word poison in it, like maybe just put frosting and sprinkles on a dog biscuit or like something like that, she probably wouldn't have gotten in so much trouble. But yeah, you throw the poison in there, that kind of intensifies the situation a little bit.
Yeah, she might have just gotten some fucking like eggs thrown at her house or some dog shit on her porch from like the crappy tasting cookie that the kids thought that they were getting. So she guaranteed 100% would eat that.
So she was probably the like, don't put it out with your boots, Ted girl. Remember that from Billy Madison?
Billy Madison, yeah. That was great. All right, so about that, there are actually some varying accounts of this story, including one that says that she had wrapped arsenic in napkins and mixed them in with candy so that the kids wouldn't know that they were being poisoned.
I feel like arsenic's maybe worse than rat or ant poison. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the toxicity levels between the two are.
Yeah, I know for a fact arsenic's definitely going to be terrible for you, but who knows what was in the ant poison back then.
It probably was arsenic anyway.
1964, it could be Agent Orange or something like that. Who knows?
I don't even know if that would kill ants. They're
Yeah.
survivors, man. They don't die.
That is true. Except for like a little bit of rain seems to take care of a lot of them. But
What killed them
And
in the
they-
movie Ants?
it was soda.
Ah, soda got him. Okay. Yeah, that would do it.
There was a cascade of soda coming in. That's what it was. There was another one too that said that she mixed dog treats and steel wool pads together in the napkins and marked them as poison on the outside of the napkin.
Okay, maybe that one's a little less harmful than the poison.
Yeah, you got to think like if you pick through dog biscuits and steel wool pads, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, you'll know pretty quick it's fucking steel wool. Like you're not hiding that.
No. So my next one comes out of Texas.
Okay.
So Ronald O'Brien of Texas laced pixie sticks with cyanide in 1974, giving them to 5 children, including his son and daughter.
Okay, I've definitely heard about this guy. He's not very nice. I know that for certain.
Yeah. Of the 5 children, only his 8-year-old son, Timothy, ate the tainted candy. He would eventually die. So Ronald quickly became the prime suspect when it was found out that he had taken out life insurance policies on his 2 children.
Okay, so he obviously killed one of them. Now, did he give the other one the candy too?
Yeah, so she was one of the 5 children. She just didn't happen to die. Or I don't think she actually even ate it.
I'm probably not a fan of pixie sticks or something. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're taking life insurance policies out on somebody and then they just miraculously die almost immediately, looks a little fishy. Just saying, just looks a little fishy.
Yeah, especially 2 children I could understand if it was like you're taking it out on like your spouse or your grandparents. But when you're taking it out on kids who aren't going to work for another 10 years,
Yeah.
it's, like they've got to be asking you at the insurance place, like, why would you want to take out a ton of money on 2 kids?
Doesn't life insurance pay out based on age and stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you had it out on kids, you got to think the premiums are super low.
That's true. I was going to say, if it's an elderly person, and like you're going to be spending more time trying to find coverage for them than anything.
Yeah, they're probably going to die before you find a provider, honestly. So it turned out that Ronald had given the 3 other children the poison candy to cover his tracks. Ronald was convicted of murder and executed via lethal injection in 1984.
Damn, so he got liquid pixie stick injected right into his bloodstream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is Texas. Of course, they're going to kill you. But yeah, I've heard about the story, but I didn't know that he was executed.
Yeah. So what year did I say? 1974 to 1984. So he actually went through death row pretty quick. He must have only spent maybe 7 to 8 years on death row.
Well, I'm assuming nowadays it's kind of a little bit more of a they're worried about people's rights with and you get appeals and all of that. Maybe back then they just were kind of like, well, let's just kill him.
They just fast-tracked him.
I'm just kind of surprised they did lethal injection and not like a fucking firing squad or for Texas, like draw and quartered or whatever, you know?
Or just pull out old Sparky from Mothballs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's hook her into the wall.
or just, like, I'm trying to think of a pixie stick related death. How could you kill someone with pixie sticks besides poisoning them? Do you think if you eat enough of them, you'll go into like a diabetic shock?
Or you just like force it up their nose.
There you
arsenic. or just you force them to just mainline fucking pixie sticks
I was gonna say just like melt the pixie stick dust down with like water and then inject it into them. I'm sure that'd get you.
Oh yeah, who knows what that shit's made out of?
But yeah, that guy is he's an asshole and he's a piece of shit for killing his son. So, and I think he kind of has a reputation as like the guy who ruined Halloween, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's a few people in these stories who get the that reputation. Actually, O'Brien's lawyer claimed that his attack was only aimed at his children and their friends, and that his client was convicted of killing Halloween, and that random children were not targeted. So he's trying to basically say that his client isn't the monster we think he is. He's just the monster that he was convicted of being.
Well, I mean, he's either way you look.
Monster.
Yeah, I was gonna say either way you look at it, he's a fucking prick. But yeah, I think as far as I remember, he was kind of the guy who started the scare about always check your Halloween candy. Even though obviously, he just was trying to kill his own kids or whatever.
Yeah. So this next little part kind of goes into that. So even though the incident was over 40 years ago, the Candyman murders legend lives on and keeps parents apprehensive about their children's Halloween candy.
Yeah,
so
that's
happen. What he became known as.
I feel like, especially since I know the true crime world, kind of like the reputation sometimes of these people, like it's the game of telephone kind of morphs into something else sometimes, and I'm assuming this is a prime example of that happening.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you just get right off the bat, the facts come out, but then all of a sudden you get all this fiction too, this myth and legend, and
like he killed his kid and whatever, poisoned the other kids, and now all of a sudden every single person in the world's trying to kill your kids with poisonous candy. So that'll happen.
So the next part about this goes into drugs. So a boy living in Detroit, Michigan died from a massive dose of heroin in 1970.
Okay.
Police found that his Halloween candy had been sprinkled with the drug.
Okay, that sounds suspicious, I will say.
Yeah, suspicious and really expensive.
Very expensive. That's I wonder, well, I don't know how much heroin it takes to, like, kill, I guess, a kid in powdered form, I'm assuming, but seems like drug dealers probably aren't just throwing that away.
Yeah, probably a lot less heroin than, say, Keith Richards or someone of that caliber.
You'd have to, like, dip a candy bar in heroin, then roll it in like, liquid poppy, then put more heroin on it to kill that man.
That wouldn't even get him out of bed in the morning.
No, that wouldn't even make him sleepy.
So it was later found out that tampering with candy was not actually the cause of the poisoning with the drugs. It turned out that the boy had gotten into his uncle's heroin stash and had eaten it.
Oh, ouch. Okay, yeah, that would kill you. And then they just put it on his candy to make it look like somebody else killed him, and basically...
it was actually his family.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's not a very nice family there.
So to cover it up, they sprinkled the remaining heroin onto his stash of Halloween candy to make it look like he had been randomly poisoned by some kind of psychopath in the area.
I feel like if they open up his presumably bag or pail of candy and there's just heroin sprinkled all over it, like, that had to come from, like, multiple houses, not just one guy, unless one house was giving out a bag full of candy that just happened to have heroin sprinkled on it.
That would be funny if, like, they had just sprinkled it on top, and he had, like, a pail, and then the cops picked through it, and they're like, well, it's only on the top, so. It looks like this was done, possibly afterwards.
They'll be like, kid, did you just go to Keith Richards' house or what?
I was trying to think who's from Detroit that's a big heroin guy.
Oh God, I don't
There's
know.
Gotta be a few.
Eminem, I don't know. I don't think he was a heroin guy though.
Nah, I think he if he was into anything, I don't know. Probably just a lot of liquor.
I think his was prescription pills, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
But that's kind of like the way of the future. Like, people just using prescription drugs and abusing them or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
That's true.
I was just thinking this thought before he started going into the last story a little bit. If Keith Richards goes in for hospice care and they keep giving him morphine and he just keeps sitting there and he doesn't even feel anything, like, how much are they gonna have to give him before he like goes to sleep?
Yeah, they're gonna have to like take an entire IV bag just full of fucking like their strongest shit and then pour a little bit of IV fluid just to cut it up a little bit, just to get it. They just pump it in. He wakes up 5 minutes into the surgery and taps his wrist again. Come on.
Maybe that's why he won't die.
Could be. He's pickled. So there's also a story about a kid who had collapsed. I found in one of the news articles. And after being taken to the hospital, he was found to actually have cocaine in his urine.
Oh.
It turned out that the sample must have been contaminated because his urine didn't actually contain cocaine. This child just collapsed because he probably was eating too much candy and just got exhausted from running around all night.
Okay. So how did they know how the cocaine got in there? Or was it like him and a doper were doing pee tests at the same time and they mixed up the cups?
Yeah, I don't know how, it didn't really go into that. It just said that his urine test, it was like a false positive. So they thought it was cocaine, but it was not cocaine.
Maybe when that kid was trick-or-treating, he went to Keith Richards' house and Keith Richards was just giving him free pee samples.
Keith Richards sneezed on the kid.
This kid's got so much blow in him, I can barely believe it.
It just came out in a cloud and hit him in the face. Like, goddamn, this guy baking a cake in here? What the fuck's going on?
Keith Richards has like the $5,000 loogie. It's just full of coke.
Oh man. So as marijuana-based candies, which are now sold in dispensaries across the country, become legal in more and more states, there is a worry that kids will be given gummy bears or other marijuana-based candies, either by mistake or possibly on purpose. Most likely because the people giving out the candy are high as fuck and they just give them the wrong bag.
I understand the fear, but the THC candy is so fucking expensive. Like, you'd have to be really fucking high to like just accidentally give away like your fucking hash gummies or whatever.
Somebody gave away their paycheck in fucking gummy bears.
Yeah.
That they were probably supposed to go out and party, like their Halloween party that night.
Mm-hmm.
Probably supposed to use it out there. All of their, like, fucking stoner friends are, like, eating gummy bears that night and getting pissed off because, well, either they're getting pissed off because nothing's happening or they just kind of think it's happening.
Yeah. You know what's funny, actually? Obviously, CBD is pretty much legal everywhere now. But CBD doesn't do anything for you. It's just like a natural remedy or whatnot. You start hearing stories of people who give their friends like CBD gummies or something and tell them it's weed or whatever, and then they act like they're really high.
Oh, yeah. I imagine.
You remember that one kid we knew in high school? I remember someone gave him like fucking like dried up ditch weed or something, and he acted like he was so fucking high he could barely stand. That shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I imagine with those people who, like, you hand the fake gummies to, you could probably open up a Harborough bag for that dude and say, like, these are THC gummies.
I don't know. I've never tasted THC gummy, but I have a feeling they have, like, a poop taste to them. Just guessing. Yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing they don't taste that great. But
yeah, I've never even, it's never even been in one of those places, so.
Nah, I think everybody should experience it because it's, the level of security in these places is very high and it's kind of uncomfortable, but I understand why they have to do it. But yeah, I don't know, Phil. I have a hard time seeing someone just giving people out fucking weed gummies. Like, A bag of, say, bag of gummy bears is like, what, fucking $5? I'm assuming a bag of weed gummies is probably like $80, so...
Yeah, probably a lot smaller bag, too. For $5 of the regular gummy bears, you probably get like a Costco bag for that.
Yeah, no shit. And I wonder if they have like the night crawlers that are like the sweet and sour gummies?
Oh, yeah, the dual flavored ones.
Yeah. I wonder if they would do that with weed gummies. Or they have like the weed gummy octopuses.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't think they're doing that to anybody.
Probably not. So this is actually, they were saying that it's kind of like especially high, like the fear of it, in areas where dispensers are like on the rise and like close together. So somewhere like Denver, like where there's a pot dispensary like every 3 buildings, basically.
I feel
you got little kids like opening up like lemonade stands with, you know, fucking pot outside of little fucking houses. Pretty much.
Weed lemonade, just marijuana infused lemonade stands. Little kids are handing them out. You know what I was just thinking? I wonder if the dispensaries hand out candy at Halloween.
I don't know. A lot of businesses do that. You would think it would be like a porn shop where like parents just don't take their kids around there. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying they give out like fucking the goods, but like just regular candy just to show.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Well, you don't
even handing out regular candy.
Right. Well, it probably shows the neighborhood like, hey, we're not dangerous because we're giving your kids candy. Probably full-size candy bars too. Yeah,
just bring your kids around the strip club. They have a couple of their like C team out front handing out candy to the kids.
I should drive by the strip club here on Halloween, just see if they're like actually handing out candy.
A lot of the poisoning and a lot of the drugs kind of comes together. So have you ever heard of the Tylenol scare of the early 1980s?
Oh, I remember this. I remember this. This case really intrigued me, but I don't know that much about it.
So going along with this story, fears with the tampering of products escalated in 1982. And on September 29th, people began falling ill after ingesting the pain reliever Tylenol. Now, it was discovered that the bottles of Tylenol had been tampered with and that they had been laced with deadly potassium cyanide.
Okay, well, I think both of those things can kill you, actually. Potassium and cyanide.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like Tylenol and potassium cyanide could kill you. Like, yeah, potassium cyanide, the dosage is probably a little smaller. But.
Yeah, you can definitely die from too much Tylenol. But I don't know if you're going to talk about it, if you know. I'm assuming that the tablet had to look like Tylenol, correct?
Yeah, so apparently it was only the tablets that had a certain kind of drug in it called acetaminophen. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly.
It sounds right.
Acetaminophen. These tablets, it wasn't in all of them. There's kind of a long thing that goes about it, but they were actually exchanged later on. Johnson & Johnson did do a recall, which I will mention, that gave them, like, you could get just the regular tablets, not the acetaminophen tablets.
Okay, so so you're saying at the time they were like the old, or I guess they still use them where you can basically, if you wanted to, you can pull them apart, fill them up with the powder. Like when I think about Tylenol now, it's like the compressed pills. You know what I mean? Where the whole pill is dust.
It's the normal tablets.
Yeah, okay. But as far as I know, and you're probably going to talk about it, it wasn't necessarily the company who did this, as far as they know. It was somebody else who is doing it, right?
No, yeah. So they found out pretty quickly that it wasn't coming like from the factory this way. They actually believed that it was someone going into the store, taking the pill bottles off of the shelf, taking them home and tampering them, and putting the cyanide into them, and then bringing it back to the store for people to later on come and pick up.
Yeah, because it was 5 victims, and they all bought Tylenol from the exact same store, right?
Well, it was, so 7 people died out of They all came from the same 5 bottles. So 7 people total, and then the 5 tainted bottles of Tylenol.
Oh man, that would suck if you were just at your friend's house like, God, I got such a fucking hangover from all the fucking drinking and strippers last night. Can I get some Tylenol? And it's like, oops, I guess you're never gonna have a headache again. But
here you go. I cracked a new bottle for you.
do you know were the bottles still like obviously now they have like the seal on them? Do you think they had the seal on the bottles back then?
No, I was actually gonna mention this so later on, but this is actually where all of the tamper proofing came from. Like everything that we see now that has like all of the little plastic seals and the little like breakable tabs on the bottle tops, all of that came from this case. This was a really huge deal back in 1982.
I know. It's I know like in the true crime world, nobody really covers this case because obviously nobody ever gets caught for it, but like just think about it nowadays. Like if I got a headache, dude, I just go take 2 Advil. I don't even think twice about really what I'm ingesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, aspirin's just such a... You just don't even think about it when you take it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. When you think about stories like this, you're kind of like, Jesus, should I be worried that one angry employee or like something could have did something to this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I know like every time we would buy like a carton of milk or something like that, anything with that plastic, like the foil seal on top of it, anytime that she would open something and it wouldn't have that seal on it, we would always take it back.
Yeah, it's smart. I mean, I wouldn't. There's been a few times I remember when I was at a gas station, like you buy some perishable items, say like I remember there's a few times I'd get cottage cheese there, right? And it was punctured, but it was because they were stacking them too high on top of each other. But it's like just the thought of it was slightly punctured, I would just throw it away. I'm like, I'm not even gonna risk it. Like that fear is always in the back of your head.
Who knows what happened to that fucking cottage? You know what I mean? Like cottage cheese is so like iffy anyway.
What do you mean iffy?
Well, shit. I mean,
it's molded cheese.
Yeah, but I mean that could go real bad. It's
You should look at the expiration date on cottage cheese, dude. It basically won't die. It'll survive a fucking nuclear holocaust. It's just like. That shit will not... Everyone talks about Twinkies. I'm pretty sure cottage cheese will outlast Twinkies.
I don't know. I'm pretty picky with cottage cheese. It's gotta be like the certain like amount of fat with the certain, everything. Yeah. It's gotta be the certain company too, because you get like the wrong store brand cottage cheese and it's not gonna go... It doesn't taste good.
I always go with... I think it's called Old Home. Is it Old Home or New Home or some shit like that?
Oh, I don't know.
You're a Kemp's boy, aren't you?
Yeah, I like Kemp's. It's pretty good. I like the Safeway brand.
Okay. Well, we don't have Safeways around here, I don't think, so.
Jumping back into this. Like I said before, 7 people died in the original attacks. It was 2 men and 5 women. They ranged from 12 to 35. And like I said before, they all stemmed from the same 5 bottles. The only thing is, more people would die later from copycat murders, like people tampering with Tylenol bottles later on.
Oh, there was copycats. I didn't know this part.
Yeah, so I'm not really going into the copycats because they're a lot less famous. There was a lot more like people who heard this idea and did it for themselves.
Yeah, that's how it always goes, isn't it? Well, I guess I'd never heard like the full story, but like I thought that Tylenol, the second this started getting out, they started putting that seal on him. But apparently they had to let a few higher body counts start piling up before they're like, hey, maybe we should put a fucking seal on these things.
Yeah. So actually, Johnson & Johnson, their response was really... This is crazy to say this, but like their response was really good about this. Besides the 5 tampered bottles that caused the deaths, they found 3 other contaminated bottles. But basically after the attacks, they did a total recall of about 31 million bottles of this like acetaminophen Tylenol. And that was worth about $100 million. And it said it was worth over $260 million in today's money.
Wow. Okay. Do you think that they, like, took all the pills, tested them, made sure they're okay, crushed them up again, and then just rebottled them?
That's completely possible.
I don't
Right.
know. I just feel like that's what they would do. It's like they're not going to just let all of that money go down the drain. A corporation's not going to do that.
I don't even feel like they would put them in a new bottle. I think they would just put the new tamper-proof lid on top of them, seal it up, and put it back on the truck.
Ah,
They're
yeah.
like, all right, guys, get it out of here.
It's good to go. What they don't know
So-
won't hurt them.
Yeah. But so this actually took a really hit, like a big hit for the company. At the time of the scare, the company's market share collapsed from about 35% total market share down to 8%.
Oof.
But because of the positive response, Johnson & Johnson like regained a lot of their losses in the next years.
Can you imagine if you were like smart enough to buy a bunch of stocks when they crashed? Fuck, you'd be so goddamn rich right now.
Or one of those people who like sold Enron stock at just the perfect time. That'd be awesome if you had a time machine, go back, buy like what was it, Amazon stock in 1997 when it was when it was like 85 cents a share.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Who is the person who didn't make it out of the Enron thing? Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart's the only motherfucker who went to jail. Isn't that the joke? Like she's
Yeah.
the only person who went to jail for Enron.
Something tells me that since she's the, basically fall person, that she got a lot of money from the other people who basically she took the blame for. I have a feeling she got a lot of money.
Oh yeah, she went from having fucking Martha Stewart money to Oprah Winfrey money pretty quick.
Okay, let's not get crazy here.
Yeah, that's true. So, as you mentioned before, no one was ever actually like convicted of the crime of murdering the 7 people, but there was a man named James William Lewis who was convicted of attempting to blackmail Johnson & Johnson for $1 million. He sent them a letter that said he would stop poisoning these bottles for the $1 million.
Well, that's not very smart.
Yeah, the real problem is the dumbass. He left a thumbprint on the envelope that he sent to Johnson & Johnson. So he was caught. But it turned out at the time he was living in New York with his wife, so he could never have possibly been the person who did it.
Yeah, he just thought, hey, I can make easy money here, but I'm a complete fucking buffoon.
Yeah, I mean, does he not think that they're going to call the cops?
This is what I never understood about ransoms and stuff. Like, okay, yeah, they're like, hey, just leave the money here. You really think someone's not going to be watching you as you're getting the fucking money?
And then what the fuck? You're going to go from being a poor person with nothing to all of a sudden you have $1 million. Do you think people aren't going to be like, hey, where'd the money come from?
You'd have to leave the country. Like, that's basically your only option, I would assume.
And then trying to get $1 million on a plane.
Yeah, maybe in 1960 it'd be fine because there's basically no security at all, so.
Oh yeah, you could walk onto a plane. You could buy the ticket the same day, walk on with your briefcase, throw it to the girl behind the counter, and fucking light up a Lucky Strike on the plane.
Hell yeah. They need to bring smoking back. Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine a whole plane filled with cigarette smoke? Oh my god, my eyes would be fucking watering.
It'd be terrible. Those fucking stewardess wouldn't last 5 years.
No.
So, getting back in, James William Lewis would eventually serve 13 years of his 20-year prison sentence for extortion.
Holy shit, that is a long sentence for that.
Yeah, there was other suspects, but they were taken off the hook pretty quickly. So one of the notable suspects was Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, okay.
So after the so this was long after the Tylenol murders, but after Ted Kaczynski was caught, his DNA was requested for analysis. Kaczynski claimed that he never used potassium cyanide, but he did have ties to Chicago, and he was known to stay in the area during the early 80s. He had family that lived in Chicago.
Interesting. You know what's funny is I'd never heard them linking Ted Kaczynski to the Tylenol murders, but I know they link him to the Zodiac killer. It's just like
Yeah.
every unknown killer, they're just like, oh, it must be Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah, Ted Kaczynski took that claim over from Bigfoot. Just
Maybe it was Bigfoot who poisoned the Tylenol. Maybe he was sick of him taking over his
Could be.
forest. I think it was Chef Ramsay, but that's just me.
yeah, could have been. So my last topic, kind of getting away from the drug aspect of tampering with Halloween candy. What do you know about sharp objects being put into Halloween treats?
It's definitely like I've heard the warning, when we were younger, like be careful of apple. What was it like? The apples, fucking fruit, cookies, anything they could stick shit in.
Yeah, any basically like candy bars having shit stuck in them. Like always, like check the packaging, make sure it hasn't been opened. This has been around for probably just as long, if not longer, than like the poisoning of candy. A 49-year-old man named James Joseph Smith of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Ooh.
Yep, a hometown guy right there. Inserted needles into Snickers bars and handed them out to children on Halloween night. Now, you've got to be cautious because it didn't say the full size or the fun size Snickers. If he was handing out full size Snickers, something's got to be wrong with them.
Right.
Like, nobody hands out full size Snickers.
Well, I can say back in our hometown, Phil, the only person who handed out full bar Snickers was the fucking priest. He had to go to the priest's house and he handed out full size candy.
Yeah, that was turning out what we know about him now. That was a little, that was a little iffy.
Come on,
Don't ever put a foot in that door.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, just sometimes the full size candy bar is just, if it's from a priest, it's just maybe not worth it. If it's like a rich person's house, sure, but a priest, no.
Yeah, I remember like those old people who would always want you to like come inside and get the candy from them. You're just like, that's a little weird. Like, maybe just give us the candy right here since you have it in your hand.
Just put it in the bag, you geriatric. That's all I need out of you.
You creepy old fuck. So, of the children that received the tampered candy, only one 14-year-old was injured. He was actually stuck in the mouth with one of the needles after he had taken a bite. But he didn't really require that much further medical attention. They found out who was giving away the Snickers, obviously, because, you kind of remember where you got them from. And Smith was charged with altering a substance with the intent to cause death, harm, or serious injury. So they did get him for something.
What year was this, you said?
This was in the year 2000.
Oh, damn.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. It was in the year 2000, which is actually kind of brings up a point. I was thinking like he didn't require any further medical, but that's 2000. You got to be worried about AIDS still. That was only 7 years.
That's the first thing that came to mind, like AIDS or hepatitis or like something like that. Like, ugh. Did they? Yeah. Do you know why this guy did it, or he just did it?
Guy just fucking did it. I guess I don't know. It didn't really give a reason. He just did it.
I don't know. From my knowledge of the criminal world, sometimes they're just assholes and they're just mad at the world, and apparently putting fucking needles in goddamn candy is their way of getting back at something. I don't know. Fuck, that's fucked up. Like when you were talking about the kid getting stuck in the mouth with it, and when I first thought about biting into a candy bar and just feeling something puncture your mouth like that, just made me like wince, dude. It's just,
Yeah, you would never go trick-or-treating. You would never take candy from anyone again, like on Halloween. You would always just be thinking about that one candy bar.
I assume this guy had to be fucking, like, creepy looking.
Oh, yeah, something. Well, that's the thing, too. It didn't really say in the story if it was like a sewing needle or like a hypodermic needle. Like,
I assume it'd have to be a sewing needle, right? Because otherwise you'd have to be breaking off syringe needles and putting them in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Well, yeah, I suppose you would from the base, because we have them at work where you just stick them on.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm guessing it would have to be on the base.
I was, this just reminded me, Phil, did you include the old putting a firecracker in a cigarette trick on here?
No, I didn't.
Or is it a sparkler?
Dude, what is this, the 1930s where they're handing out fucking cigarettes to little kids? Here, kid, you want a Winston? My wife left me. My kids aren't here anymore, so I ain't got no more candy.
Dude, I vividly remember kids when we were in high school doing this to each other. Like they'd break off a sparkler and stick it in a cigarette. So that when you're smoking, it started igniting. Or I thought there was one that was a firecracker, but I could be wrong.
No, I think it was the tip of the sparkler is always like the biggest pop. And yeah, we would stick those in people's cigarettes. Yeah.
It was always that one guy we always picked on. Not Dota, but the other one.
Was it the one who never had cigarettes, who always bummed?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about. That asshole would always ask to bum a cigarette, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, I'll smoke one with you. So you would give him one, take one out, light it, and then he would just put it in a pack of random cigarettes and walk away.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what the fuck? Give me my cigarette back. Fucking asshole.
I mean, it was hard to get cigarettes back then. When we were like 18 or like 16, 17, it was hard to get cigarettes back then.
Well, yeah, it's hard for him, but it was hard for us too.
That's what I mean. It was hard for us to get those cigarettes, and we can't just be giving them off to a fucking beggar.
Yeah, handing them out fucking willy-nilly. So probably, this is actually the last like real one that I have. Probably the most famous, and you kind of mentioned it before, I'm glad you didn't go into it, is the tampering of fruit. And in the Northeast during the late 1960s and early 1970s, there was a huge scare with candy apples.
Okay.
So you've obviously heard of razor blades and candy apple, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was razor blades. I just always heard about concealing like sharp objects in fruit because it's easy to get them in there, obviously.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of myth about this. There are some truthful cases, but hardly any of the kids ever really bit into them, just because apples, like when you bite into it, they would see that there was something in it, or it would cause like little dead spots in the apple, and the kids would see like the little sharp object in there.
Yeah.
This actually led to a law mandating prison time for tampering with Halloween candy or fruits in New Jersey in 1968.
So it wasn't even illegal before then.
Yeah, apparently not. That's what kind of tripped me up too, was tampering with like food and giving it to someone else wasn't illegal. And also apparently they just said Halloween candy or fruits. So was this only illegal like one night of the year? like if you were doing the little like candy fucking Easter egg hunt thing, could you do it then?
I've maybe put it in, I don't know, put it in Peeps, or I don't fucking know. That's insane. When it was just New Jersey who made it illegal too.
Well, that's like one of the biggest places to do it. It wasn't it's the most famous law to be made. Happened in 1968 in New Jersey, and that was mainly because that year alone there were 13 cases of sharp objects in apples given away that year.
No shit, 13 of them. Holy fuck.
13, yeah. So that was kind of a big year. This mostly happened, like I said, like on the Atlantic seaboard, up in the Northeast.
Was saying they were just putting razor blades in there and candy apples?
Yeah, it was razor blades, other sharp objects.
Okay.
I imagine probably like pieces of glass, needles, all that other shit. But razor blades is kind of the big one that's persisted.
Are they sure they weren't just like picking up apples that had fallen on Newport Beach? Because I think there's already syringes and glass and sharp objects all over that beach. I think it's that beach. I think it's the Newport Beach is like tainted with shit everywhere.
A little kid is just trick-or-treating in like fucking one of the suburbs in New Jersey, drops his apple on the ground, on the street. It's just got heroin needles in it.
I swear it was one of those beaches that is like, has fucking needles and shit on it. Like it's a beach no one goes to in New Jersey. I don't remember which one it is. I swear I've heard of it before.
Is it the one where like all of New York's garbage gets dumped onto?
I don't know. It just sounded like it was a beach where like junkies hung out at and shit. And they just throw their needles and shit in the beach and whatever.
I don't think Pittsburgh has a coast. Like
maybe there's a hurricane that blew it off from New Jersey and blew it into Pittsburgh. Maybe that's what it was.
That could have been. Like, there were really, like I mentioned before, there were a ton of, like, these razor blade stories that persisted. And a lot of them, the 60s, 70s, most cases actually involved no injuries at all. And many would turn out to be hoaxes. Some even, like, just completely made up.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, say if two neighbors didn't like each other, one of them just starts telling everybody that he puts shit in his apples or candy or something. You know, just petty shit like that.
That guy mixes up fucking broken glass and puts it in the puppy chow. Don't go over to his house. He's an asshole.
Don't go over to Gordon Ramsay's house. I know he has full-size candy bars, but he's doing something to him. I guarantee it.
He'll go over and get candy from his house, but he's gonna fucking scream at you. He might even punch you in the face.
If you're lucky enough, he'll suplex you.
He'll only suplex you. So the stories about poison candy and sharp objects sound like the biggest Halloween dangers, but in actuality, like, these events are very rare and hardly anyone gets hurt from them. So the real danger comes from Halloween is all of the accidents that happens. So the streets I mentioned before are filled up with little fat kids running around, and it's often in the dark, and they're wearing dark costumes, and they're not really, like, observing, like, the pedestrian laws.
Yeah.
So this makes for a very dangerous night.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I don't remember. Are they required to wear? Not required, but I haven't paid that close of attention to trick-or-treaters, but I wonder if they started wearing, like, reflective tape and stuff like bikers do.
I know that in our hometown, when we were getting to be in our teenage years, some of the kids, like, they were mandating that the kids were having to wear, like, reflective shit.
Yeah.
I remember that was a big change.
I mean, that's smart. I mean, obviously, kids are trick-or-treating on Halloween, but I think there's a lot of people who are adults are drinking, too. So
yeah,
you got to be extra careful for them as well.
Yeah, I'm also going to mention that, too. So Halloween's also a terrible night when it comes to drunk drivers.
Oh, yes.
It's not only a night reserved for children. Adults also like to get all dressed up and go driving. The problem is Halloween, normally it's on, like, a work night. So a lot of them aren't obviously going to make a big night of it, but they're still going to have, like, 3 or 4 drinks and then get back out on the road. You know, some little kid runs out in front of them, probably won't see them.
Yeah, I think that's why I assume most, like, around this neighborhood, most kids go with their parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, are very careful. So I think the moral of this entire story is, like, you're pretty safe eating your Halloween candy. Obviously, I have ate numerous amounts of Halloween candy back when I trick-or-treated. I'm sure you did as well. It's just, I think you gotta be careful about what houses you go to.
Yeah.
Your neighborhood, don't go to some creepy guy's house. That's what I would say.
I remember on our, so I lived on a farm when we were a kid. So all of the farm kids would basically get driven around to the different houses in, like, my big area neighborhood kind of deal. One year we didn't have anyone who was going to be home. So we just put 2 big bowls of candy out on our porch. We came back 35 minutes later and surprise, surprise, it was all gone.
Yeah.
We probably had 4 trick-or-treaters.
It's funny because they did that there. I remember a few years ago, we were all gone here and it was like a weekend or something. So my sister just put out a big bowl of candy and said, "Take one only, please." Of course, the full fucker was gone almost immediately because people are fucking greedy and selfish little pricks.
There's actually a great video of that where they set up a hidden camera with that situation where there's, like, please just take 1 piece of candy. It'll be like, the weird thing is, it was the little kids who would walk up, read the sign, and take 1. But then their mom or dad would come and be like, take more. Like their redneck parents would come and tell them to take more of it.
Of course, the little kids aren't going to fucking do that.
Yeah, the little kids are probably actually thinking about the next kid that's coming along.
Yeah. Apparently you don't get that selfish until you're older.
Yeah, the white trash selfish parents are a little bit different, though. So, of course, I gotta end this all off with... Oh, wait, no. So there's one more, too. There's also the little asshole teenagers, like, pranking people's houses. So there's also that danger, too. You gotta watch out for them.
I actually, on my way to work, I think it was earlier this week or maybe last, I seen someone's house and all the trees fucking toilet paper everywhere.
It's a horrible thing to do, but it was
God.
so funny when we were kids.
Yeah, obviously, but it's just like, man, you can't get rid of that shit.
Oh yeah, especially if it rains.
Oh, God.
God damn. So, of course, last but not least, our friend Barry Soetoro. Now, actually, I would kind of like to hear thought about this for Barry Soetoro. Just go ahead, insert him in whatever story that you wish. So here's mine. So Obama has a candy apple factory on Mars that pumps ecstasy into the fruit, which makes the kids love Halloween so much that they begin practicing witchcraft and worshiping the devil.
Yeah.
This turns them away from their family and Christianity and towards the Illuminati and the New World Order.
Yep, I was going to say, or you could spin it as he's the Antichrist and he wants more followers too.
Of course, I forgot.
You know what's funny? This fucking Barry Soetoro meme of ours that we've gotten this deep into it. Literally in my personal life, when people start saying they have problems, I'm like, are you sure it's not Barry Soetoro? Is there anybody by the name of Barry Soetoro involved with your current problems? Like, I catch myself keep doing that now.
At work, my favorite one is blaming shit on Obama or claiming that they're not into Scientology enough, that they're not on that billion-year bridge.
See, we obviously the blame Obama meme was popular, but now I've escalated to where it's like Barry Soetoro, because not only are you delivering a funny joke, but they don't know who Barry Soetoro is. So then it's like a double whammy. You get them. Very few people know who Barry Soetoro is.
The funny thing is, whenever I do one of these, like I'm writing up these stories in my head. Whenever I'm doing these, I think of like Barack Obama, like normal Barack Obama. And then I think of Barack Obama with like that, like 1950s movies where they just put a mustache on the guy. Like, they give him like an evil looking goatee and like a snide look on his face. I think of that. Like Barack Obama's evil twin, Barry Soetoro, doing all this bad shit.
Do you know how amazing it would be is if you were handing out candy and a large man showed up at your door wearing a Barack Obama mask, and then you're like, what's your name, little kid? He's like, Barry Soetoro.
Slam the door in his fucking face.
Get out of here, reptilian.
Or he comes to the door with fucking a kid dressed up as Gordon Ramsay.
Would that be amazing if we got an email from somebody who's like, hey, I dressed my kids up as Barry Soetoro and Chef Ramsay for Halloween. Thanks, guys.
That would be great. It is too bad that this is going to come out the day after Halloween.
Good point. Hey, maybe they will have done it beforehand.
That would be fucking awesome if they did. So this one, we can't really do percentages on because they're all pretty much true. What would you say, minus the drunk driving and the trick-or-treaters, what would you say you'd be most worried about if you had kids who went out and trick-or-treated?
Honestly, minus the drunk drivers and teenagers, I'd say not really candy-wise. I don't know. Do we include... I'd be worried about pedophiles, I think, more than anything.
Oh, Catholic priests. Yeah, you're right.
There you go. Well, not just them, all the other ones too, but
all the other
especially
ones too.
Those.
Most famously Catholic priests, though.
I think if I had a kid and I was taking him trick-or-treating, I'd be like, look, we're going together. We're making sure it's a safe neighborhood, and maybe you're not eating any apples or like open cookies. It's going to be sealed candy, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. If I had kids out here, I would definitely take them to like the ritzy part of Scottsdale and like go pound on all those people's doors.
Okay, now here's the other question. What candy, you choose one candy, what are you going to steal from them and tell them that they can't eat?
Ooh, tell them that I'm worried there's razor blades in it. The Reese's Cups, I imagine. That's my favorite one, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm a basic bitch, but Snickers is so good. God, I love Snickers. I'm a big fan of like Starburst and Skittles. I really like Twizzlers too. Maybe I'm a weirdie, but I really like those candies. Are you a fan of Twizzlers?
Like a little bit. I can't like eat a whole pack of them, but I might have like one or two strands. Only the red kind. I cannot stand like the chocolate kind because it tastes weird. Like, is it chocolate or is it dark? Like
the black licorice.
Oh, yeah.
Black, like, if somebody, this is for all the kids and bears, if a house gives you black licorice, just TP their house immediately, because that's inappropriate and that is not nice. Nobody should ever be given black licorice because it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I always used to remember getting like the little fun size bits of like the licorice and hoping it was like red.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be red. Gotta be red. I love the Pull peel too. That's like my favorite one, the Pull peel.
Yeah. My favorite part about Halloween nowadays is I'm not a costume person, but I do like to buy my favorite like kind of candy and then hope that like no kids come to my house.
So you can eat it all.
That was last year. We had like 3 trick-or-treaters and I basically like I ended up giving it just being like, just take a handful, please. Like save me from myself. Like
And you developed type 2 diabetes by the end of Halloween last year, Phil?
I got the diabetes. Yeah, I probably should have. I ate like so much fucking candy that week.
I know, that's always the fear, but thankfully there's usually like a shitload of kids who come to our house, so it's usually all gone. But anyway, Phil, if anyone wants to tell us about their Halloween adventures, where can they do that?
Well, we've got email, subliminaldpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from people. Didn't actually hear from anyone this past week. So we did hear from a person before that, but we'd love to hear from you guys. We're also on Instagram, Subliminal Deception Podcast on IG. That's actually the best way to get a hold of us. We always post something on release day and always pushing fellow podcasters out there. So if you want to get pushed, give us a ring. We've got our own. Mine's SD Pod Phil. I post nothing and I barely ever check it. Cody, you've got a few?
Yeah, my personal one is Cody's Above, or you can reach my other podcast, that is Bumblebutt Podcast. We're both on Instagram. Bumblebutt Podcast you can find on your favorite podcasting application. The last thing we need you to do is to log on to iTunes and leave the show a 5-star review. Type your favorite type of candy in there and then hit submit. That's fine with us. Actually, I'd love that, actually. We are getting really close to 40, which is amazing. So if you haven't done it, please just take a few minutes out of your day and just do that for us. Leave us a 5-star review. Doesn't matter really what you say. And we really appreciate it. Phil, I think you did a fantastic job. I think maybe, obviously there's a lot of scary stories you told, but I think in the end, for the most part, everyone should feel safe and hopefully had a happy Halloween. So we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.